Hey everybody, here is a recap video of our lesson on interior angles of a triangle. By the end of this lesson, and after you practice your Khan Academy, hopefully you can solve for the angles, interior angles of triangles, and you can identify what type of triangle they are, classifying them by angles. So grab your calculator, grab your notebook, and let's get started. For our warm-up, without drawing this, just grab yourself a calculator and let me have you figure out which one of these angles is correct, or are there more than one that's correct? Remember, all the angles inside a triangle, they add up to 180 degrees. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, unpause the video. Hopefully you had time. If not, just pause the video again. But I'm going to start. The pink angle, when you add up all of those angles, hopefully you realized that it is not correct because they all add up to 100 plus 70 plus 20 adds up to 190. So that's a no. Maybe I'm going to exit it out. No. Okay, the green one, when I add up 22 plus 32 plus 126 on my calculator real quick, I get 180. Good, that's good. Okay, the purple one, when I add 32 plus 66 plus this little box, remember this little box means 90 degrees. When I add them all up, I get 188, so that's too much. And then for the orange triangle, when I add them up, I add 78 plus 67 plus 45. In my calculator, I get 190, so that's no. So the green one is the only triangle that actually works out. Okay, so let's get our notes out and let's summarize this. Again, we're talking about interior angles of a triangle. Last class we talked about just an intro to triangles, classifying them. We needed the Pythagorean theorem and we needed the 2D distance formula. We talked about back in middle school and elementary how you classified them by sides and angles. We reviewed how to use a protractor and how to use a centimeter ruler. And then we talked about something new, which was that you can prove that numbers are triangles without the side links, and you can classify a triangle by angles if you're only given the side links, not the angles. So this was the new stuff. If you can go to your next two pages and title them Interior Angles of Triangles. This is lesson 4.2 this year. And I'm going to go to the left side. And what we just did on our warm-up was we did something called the triangle sum theorem. Sum means add. So what that states is that all the inside angles of a triangle add up to a magical number. That magical number is 180 degrees. The way you write the formula is angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180. You don't need to put the degree symbol because sometimes when you put the degree symbol, you think it's another zero, and then you think angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 1,800, and that's way too big. Let's draw the green triangle that worked out for us, the one with the 22, 32, and 126 degree angles. And let's prove that this works out. So how do you prove it? Again, you're going to write down the formula you're going to use. Then you're going to plug everything in. If I don't have anything labeled, you can plug them in wherever you want. So I decided when I made the slideshow that 22 was angle A, 32 was angle B, and 126 was angle C. Again, I'm not going to draw the degree symbol because sometimes my degrees look like the number 0. And then to continue proving it, you actually do need to finish the problem. I'm going to combine like terms. You do the same thing if they're on the same side. And I get 180 equals on the right side of 180. So good. Let's do another one. In Khan Academy, it's only going to give you 2 angles sometimes. It's going to ask you what the third angle is. Same thing. You can grab a calculator. Some of you all can do this really quick with a calculator. But I want us to practice proving them. So we're going to use the triangle sum formula, which isn't new. Angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180. And again, it doesn't matter which one is which because they're not labeled. So I'm going to say x plus 50 plus 96 equals 180. In order to solve this problem, we need to combine like terms because they're on the same side. You do the same thing. You can use a calculator. It's okay. Now to get this 146 to the opposite side, I do the opposite. The opposite of a positive 146 is a negative 146. So I'm going to subtract 146 and I get 34. X equals 34. And that makes sense because that's an acute angle. Looks good. Okay, let's copy that down in our notes. Again, you start with the formula, you substitute everything in, you combine like terms, and you isolate your variable. So you get x all alone on one side. Let's do another Khan Academy example. This one looks a little scarier because I'm trying to solve for the angles and I only have 2 angles labeled. But one thing I do notice when I'm going to solve this is I do notice that 2 of the sides are the same, which means this side is congruent to this side. So I drew a little dash, a little tally mark, that means they're the same length. So this is an isosceles triangle, and on an isosceles triangle, the base angles are congruent. Base angles doesn't mean the bottom angles. It means if you trace those congruent sides, those angles that are on each of those congruent sides, but not where they meet together, those are the base angles. So this is 61, so this has to be 61. So when I'm doing my triangle sum formula, if I'm thinking, do I plug in an x or a 61, I'm going to plug in the 61 because it's the base angle. Okay, so I'm going to plug it in. I have 61 plus x equals 180. And now I'm going to combine like terms. I get 122. To get it to the opposite side, I do the opposite, so I'm going to subtract it using my calculator, and I get 58. You don't have to use a calculator. It just makes it go a little faster, and that way we don't accidentally forget to carry a 1. Okay, let's write this in our notes so we have this example. Again, this is what the problem looks like. We're going to set it up using our triangle sum formula, realizing this missing angle is not another x or a y. We can find out what it is because we have our congruent sides, and so we have our base angles. Okay, so we're halfway through our notes. This stuff you learned back in middle school, maybe even elementary, but let's step it up a little bit and let's put this in a proof. So on the right side, we're going to do just 2 more examples. If 2 angles of a triangle are 40 degrees and 20 degrees, then the triangle is obtuse. If you don't remember, this is called a conditional statement. It has an if and a then. It has a hypothesis and a conclusion. It has a cause and effect. And when you do one of these problems, you start with the hypothesis, the part after the if. So I'm going to follow all the way to the comma. It says, if 2 angles of a triangle are 40 degrees and 20 degrees. So what I have is I have only the fact that I have a triangle with a 40-degree angle and a 20-degree angle. So I have 40-degree angle and a 20-degree angle. I don't know how close they are. I just drew them really quick. Now I can kind of visualize a 40-degree angle and a 20-degree angle. They're both acute. 20 is going to be a skinnier angle than the 40 degrees. And you can kind of draw yourself a picture and kind of visualize, okay, yeah, maybe this is obtuse. It looks like it could be. But let's prove it. So we're going to do a T-chart, a 2-column chart with statements and reasons. The first reason is always given. And what's given to me, again, are my 2 angles. And I'm just going to name them angles A and B. And I'm going to say angle C, my unknown angle, I'm going to call it X. So you list everything that's given to you. Then, what formula are we going to use? The name of the formula is important. You don't just put formula. This is called the triangle sum or the triangle sum theorem. Not triangle angles, triangle sum. And it's when you add all the angles, they equal 180. Then I want to get rid of these 3 different variables, these 3 different letters. I'm going to plug in, the big kid word for plug in is substitution. If you identified angle A as 20, that goes first. If you identified angle B as 40, that goes second. If you identified angle C as X, that goes third. Solving the algebra problem, I'm going to combine like terms. So combine like terms, I get 20 plus 40 is 60. And then I'm going to subtract the 60 to get it to the opposite side. And so I get X equals 120. And so since it is 120 degrees, yes, this is an obtuse triangle. So this is a true sentence. Okay, about halfway through. I wrote kind of big. Let me do another triangle. Whoops, my animations are out. If the angles of a triangle are 2x plus 4 and 3x minus 8 and 58, then the triangle is obtuse. Okay, this one's a little harder because, well, I don't just have the numbers. So I don't know, I'm just drawing a triangle because I want a picture. I don't know if it's obtuse or acute. This is how people tend to draw triangles. Some of y'all draw right triangles naturally. And I'm just going to label a picture. So I have an example. I've got the 2x plus 4, the 3x minus 8, and the 58. Again, you don't have to, I would put the degree symbol. You don't have to because some of y'all write it really big, and it looks like I would write the number 580 if I was some of y'all. But there we go. I have it labeled. And then how do we prove it? We're going to do a T-chart, a two-column chart. The first reason is given. And what's given to me, well, that is the hypothesis is what's given to me. So I'm given angles of a triangle, and I'm going to label them A, B, and C. I'm just going to make up their names because I don't have one. So I'm going to say angle A is 2x plus 4 because it was first maybe. Angle B was the second thing, and angle C was the third thing. So I just wrote them down. You have to list what formula you're going to use. So triangle sum. And then we're going to substitute it in. Again, A was first, so I labeled that. So 2x plus 4 is going to go first. 3x plus minus 8 is going to go next. 58 is going to go next. So I'm plugging it all in. I'm substituting it in. Now it's algebra 1 problem. I'm going to see, okay, I got x's. They're on the same side. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to combine like terms. 2x plus 3x is 5x. 4 minus 8 plus 58 is a positive 54. So combine like terms, or CLT. I want to solve for x, so I need to get rid of the 5 and the 54. We need to get rid of the 54 first because it's closest to the x. So minus 54, subtraction. Then I'm solving for x, I need to get rid of the 5, so I'm going to divide by 5, and it's okay to have decimals. But I didn't finish the problem because I want to know if my triangle's obtuse or acute. So I'm going to plug this back in with my calculator. I'm going to plug it back in to see what my angle values are. So when I plug it in for x, 2 times 25.2 plus 4 is 54.4. When I plug it back in for x, 3 times 25.2 is about 75.6 minus 8 is 67.6. So looking at these three numbers, they're all acute. So it is not an obtuse. So this one is false because it is an acute triangle. So that was just a coincidence that I drew it relatively accurately. I just drew a quick triangle. Okay, so our notes are done. Remember, you have to have your notes complete and organized if you need to redo anything for the unit. Let me have y'all practice our 3 new Khan Academies. And then when you're done, take the exit ticket. If you have any questions, let me know.